or use lemon juice to remove highlighter marks. By cutting off the top of this toothbrush, we can insert a jigsaw blade into the handle to make a handheld saw. To prevent cords from getting tangled, make a loop with this cord and wrap the rest of the cord around it. Insert the plug through the loop and pull it tight. We can even hang our tools like this. Levels are a valuable tool to have for all kinds of DIY projects. Today we'll be taking out the vials to attach to our drill. We'll place hot glue onto the back of the drill and press the vials down in a T shape. Now, as long as the table and board are leveled, the holes will be straight. If our wrench is too big for this smaller bolt, we can grind out a slot to fit the size of the smaller bolt. Weed whackers are probably some of the most finicky tools in the shed. To make a more permanent solution, let's make a few modifications. We can start by drilling holes around the outer housing to install the cable ties. We can also remove the guard blades. We can even use this modified version to clear away snow in the wintertime. To saw dowels by hand without a table, we can use a carpenter's square for support. This can work for both round and square dowels. Our next project will be a bit of woodworking. We will be connecting an end face with a crosspiece using a wedged mortise and tenon joint. This is an extremely strong joint that's even used to attach axe heads to their handles. We'll start by making our marks on both pieces using a pencil and a marking gouge. We are marking out a basic mortise and tenon joint. From here we'll cut out the tenon, making sure it's about a 1/4 inch longer than our marking. Clean it up with a chisel. Then we'll mark out and drill 2 holes. Then saw from the end to the holes. These are the slots for the wedges. To make the mortise, use a drill to remove most of the wood. Then we can use a chisel to clean and even the edges. Now we'll make 1/4 inch marks on one side of the mortise to create tapered sides. Now we can make our wedges. We'll be using a different colored wood to create a distinct look. A vise and a chisel can help us to cut out the wedged shape. We'll need 2 pieces that are the same width and slots. Next we'll add the glue on top of the joint and also to the sides of the wedges. Hammer in the wedges as deep as they'll go. Saw it flush, sand it, and apply some varnish for the finish. It can be difficult to cut a threaded bolt on the table. Instead, we can clamp a wrench into the vise and pass the bolt through the head. We need to sharpen our knife, so we'll be using this file instead of a sharpening stone. We can even attach the rod into our drill to help speed up the process. Now, when we go to cut the sponge, our knife is much sharper. Sometimes, when using a whole saw, the edges of the wood are too rough, so we need to go back and sand it. We can cut out a strip of sandpaper and attach it to the drill bit. Now, the edges are a bit smoother than before. To make a tool for scrubbing hard-to-reach places, remove the abrasive layer from a dish sponge and cut out small circles. From here, we'll attach these circles to a rivet. Attach the rivet to your Dremel, and now we can clean hard-to-reach places, clean up old tools. Here's a quick tip that can help make your job a little easier. We want to simply flatten the nozzle using a tube or anything else that you can find. Cut a small angle off and flatten nozzle and screw it back onto the canister. Now we'll get clean, even lines.
temporary solution for this damaged pipe is to glue a piece of pipe larger than the hole inside of the pipe, and then glue a larger pipe over the hole. To make use of this old oil filter, we can remove the cap and take out the base plate. Then we can separate the two plates and grind off any excess metal. Now we'll weld screws to the plate, adding notches into the screws. Now we can attach this to our angle grinder. And now we have a very rough sanding disc to remove large amounts of material from wood. It's better to fasten a rope with a couple of washers than just a screw by itself. Before attaching wires to a screw, be sure to bend the wire around the screw before tightening. Plastic anchors are not very effective when installed into concrete or brick. A more secure option would be to use metal anchors. To fasten these two strips of wood together with a single wire, try this. With a loop on one end, pass a screwdriver through the loop and wrap the two loose ends of the wire together. Then clip off any excess wire. To create a brace for these two pipes, we'll first get a measurement using this piece of cord. Now we'll cut this threaded rod to the same length of the cord. Next, we'll mark the halfway point on the rod. And then we'll bend the threaded rod around the PVC pipe at the halfway point. We'll then secure the rod in a vise and bend it in half one more time. Now we can attach this to our pipes and secure everything with a metal bracket. To connect these pairs of wires together, we'll use a wire stripper to remove the plastic and then wrap one wire end around the middle of the wire using pliers to help. We'll then wrap the wires with electrical tape to seal everything up. This knot is called a surgeon's knot. We'll do 2 twists on the bottom and 1 on top. To make sure we join these boards together at a right angle, we can create a guide. We'll cut off a corner of plywood that has a 90-degree angle. We'll attach 2 small boards along its edge. Now we can clamp our boards onto our guide to ensure that they're installed at 90 degrees. For our next project, we'll be building an adjustable block for our vise. We'll start by cutting out a circle using this hole saw drill bit. Then we can sand off the sides and edges. Now we'll drill a larger hole in the center using a drill press. We'll pass a bolt through this hole, and then we'll cut out a square, drill a hole in its center, and install a T-nut. Now when we secure things into our vise, we can use this adjustable block to match the thickness of our piece. For our next project, we'll be building a very rudimentary gardening tool. We'll start by bending this rebar with 2 bends like so, and remove the excess with an angle grinder. We'll be attaching this rebar onto this pole, so we'll make some grooves on the end. Next, we'll drill holes into both ends of the rebar. Now we can attach the rebar to the pole with the help of a metal clamp. We'll also need clamps to secure our wires in place. We'll remove the nails and use these rivets. Now we can pass the wire through the rivets and through the holes in the rebar on both sides. Crimp the wire to the clamps and then hammer the clamps into the holes. This gardening tool will help us remove weeds. To remove a broken bolt, try welding a nut to it and then unscrewing it with a wrench. We can cut out this PVC pipe into a long, thin shape like so. From here, we'll glue a cap and a dropper to the top of the PVC pipe. When we're done, we want to make sure that the bottle still fits. Fill the bottle with water. And now we can use this as a low-tech watering system. To glue these two boards together edgewise, we can install some dowels. Start by hammering a nail into a scrap piece of wood. Now press the two pieces of wood together with the nail in between. We can use these markings to drill holes for our dowels. Now we'll apply wood glue to the edges and insert the dowels. It should be a perfect fit. To make sure these two wires don't slip, we'll need a more secure way to fasten them. We'll wrap the first wire back in the other direction, and then use the second wire to fold it back on itself for extra support. To install a switch on this light bulb, we'll demonstrate a few different methods. First, we'll pass the wire through a single switch. As you can see, the light turns on and off like normal. But what if we installed two switches? Although the wiring is a little bit more complicated, once everything is properly connected, the light will only turn on when both switches are in the on position.